Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ramblecast for this week. The name of the show is The Writhing Minute. I hope the first episode was interesting enough to lead you to the second one, and so here we are. This episode will be about some of my characters. I don't really do character bios. I used to post them, and I actually really should again, but I figured since I'm doing this project anyway, I might as well do it this way. So I hope you'll follow me on that. The characters I'll be talking about first will be three of the main characters in my webcomic Aberrant. Aberrant, if you haven't already heard about it, which probably not because it's kind of a small project already. So yeah, but it's a webcomic about Mirage, who's the first character I want to talk about. And she is an alien hybrid fighting essentially a biotech virus that's infecting her community against her will, because it's the same virus that her parents and her extended family dealt with back in the day, which is why they have such like a hero reputation. Meanwhile, she just kind of wants to live and exist, and yeah, it leads her down a very unique path, if I would say so myself. She's a sort of deeply scarred but good-hearted individual. She's had to deal with a lot of grief. She is a very rare occurrence. There's not many hybrids like her, especially not within her home colony, Terra 1. Because for there to be hybrids, there needs to be a diversity of species, which she does not really have in her community. Although she goes on a bit of a journey later on in the comic, and you'll see her probably blossom open as she sees more people who might be like her. So yeah, she is the main character. However she might fight against that fact. Next we've got Vilas. A lot of people want to know about Vilas. So here it goes, I guess. Vilas is a diplomat between Terra 1 and the colony of Synth, which is a branched off colony from Terra 1. Terra 1 at one point had this sort of technological revolution where robots just, it wasn't an uprising per se, but it was like a rebellion of the robots against their organic overlords, so to speak. But the robots learned most of the things that they knew from human culture, because the main people who made robots were humans. So they modeled their offshoot colony after a bit of human culture, somewhat not intentionally, but when you use the tools you've got. So an interesting thing about its design is that Vilas, they use it. Sometimes I will alternate between the two. Vilas is designed to have metal parts, which are basically their main parts, and gooey parts. Most of the goo robots that I draw are synthetically gooey. Their goo is grown in a lab because of Synth's bonds with a colony of planets that is inhabited by slime aliens, which provide those samples so that the robot colony can apply those technologies to advance their society. And the reason that Violet has those inclusions is because, the reason that most people have like tape on certain parts of their body that it moves better. It's sort of that situation. It's also in the period of the comic that we check in on our main cast. It's kind of period accurate that slime inclusions are being used. It's like a new up-and-coming technology, and it's a very new, not very strenuous, but optimistic relation, I would say. It fits Violet as a character because Violet's personality is similar to their physical appearance in the way that it's built. Violet has a gooey center, and the hard, cold parts support that gooey center and sort of hide it away. And they do that quite literally, physically, and I find that pretty neat and how that fits. So that's Violet. Then we have Valentine. I won't talk too much about Valentine because she also hasn't appeared in the comic, but Violet and Mirage team up with Valentine in the comic at some point, and Valentine is Mirage's younger sister. She's kind of a spitfire with a garland of insecurities because she is a human, and a very special type of human, which I will not spoil. Special in that she's maybe, just a hint at it, a little unspecial. She's got a genuine personality and pure intention. She's just like a sunshine child. A thing I will say about her, though, is oftentimes with those kind of sunshine child personalities, they also carry the levity of a lot of the situations that they're in, and that puts pressure on them. So that's what I will say about her, if I say nothing else. After those characters, I would like to talk about Vale, Dina, and Rourke from a comic that I want to make titled Veil of the Night. It originally started as a different kind of idea, but now it's kind of developed into, I'm still developing it at the moment, but what I've come to is that it will probably be a comic about hooking up with your boss, hooking up with your boss's ex, but it's vampires, and it's about a vampire cult, and the company in the scenario is the vampire cult, and the ex is the megalomaniac, insane demon succubus vampire who runs that cult. The co-protagonists are Vale and Dina. Vale recently has escaped in the comic from the cult, and the cult is kind of a harem, so Vale was getting it on with their cult leader boss, as a lot of cult leaders will do. And Dina was also previously in the harem, but her history goes even deeper. But the comic basically focuses on a little contained story where Rourke is looking for Vale, but Dina, against her better judgment, hides Vale because she feels some kind of like protective instinct over Vale, and they get on in a certain way, and maybe they end up liking each other in a certain way, and that is what I will say about that. In short, Rourke is like a cult leader with jock energy, but the aesthetic of a Dracula performer. Just rotten to the core. Then you've got Dina, who's a fallen angel, who's just a little bit jaded, but has a warm center that she can't hide. And then, you've got Vale, who's like an oversized cat with an allergy to commitment, but a penchant for having a lot of fun, like having a good time, even though, she's a bit of a grifter. But we love to see it. Lastly, I quickly want to talk about Lefty and Fix. We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to go over them quickly and possibly just do, if people like hearing about them, a separate episode about just them, because I want to talk at length about my boys. So firstly, you have Lefty, who is like that one Christian kid from high school who went completely off the rails, joined an emo band, but they're a robot from space. Yeah. Then you've got Fix, who is a bit more rebellious, if you can believe it. The instigator of Lefty's crash out, basically, who was like, don't you just want to go ape shit? And his energy is basically that of your bad boy boyfriend's hotter older brother, who's a bit more mature, with a nurturing, playful streak, but he's also a robot and a rock star from space, who hacks into ATMs to annoy the cops. So that is the short of it. If you want to hear more about any of these characters, just let me know. I'm out of time, so I gotta catch you later. See you next Sunday. Bye!